All right.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Paco's Insight on Paco's Playground. This is officially going to be Paco's Insight 1, Volume 1, Episode 1. Today, we're going to discuss a pretty sad topic, but it's something that needs to be brought up. We're going to talk about active shooters. Following the Boulder, Colorado shooting, where 10 people were killed, including a Boulder police officer with 7 children and the restaurant manager, as well as 8 other wonderful souls. So let's get into it, Paco.
Yeah. Um.
Paco.
Yeah. So, um, as Nick said, yeah, it's a terrible tragedy. You know, guy still, as far as I know, hasn't given a motive on why. So maybe we'll never know. Who knows? I don't know. Um. But yeah, it's an unfortunate thing. Gun violence in our country is a big issue. You know, I don't think it'll ever end. No matter what they want to do to try and stop it or get ahead of it, it's never going to end. You know, firearms are always going to be rightly available to these people who want them. Unfortunately, whether that means getting them legally, illegally, this guy, this guy that did the Boulder, Colorado thing, he happened to purchase his legally.
Just testing out the chat.
It just, oh really?
Oh, really? Yeah, he purchased his guns legally. Oh, really?
Just after I
Oh,
said that, the
really,
thing,
Paco?
oh really?
Oh,
So
really,
yeah,
Paco?
but yeah, he purchased his legally, and like I was trying to touch base on is, unfortunately, I don't know why he even purchased his legally if he was going to do something stupid to begin with. But anyways, I don't. To be honest with you, I don't even know how he managed to get an LTC or whatever they call it in Colorado. It's probably like a LTC or a CWP. I know some states call it a CWP, concealed weapons permit. I don't know. I don't even know where to begin
Well,
on
they
how he.
have. I mean, we're not too familiar with their gun laws, but I guess my understanding is that um, they do have background checks in that state, according to the news articles.
Yeah, so he must have had a squeaky clean record and just snapped. Because I mean, I know here in Massachusetts we have strict gun laws. Like you get background on the federal level and in all 50 states.
You know what has a background check, Paco?
What?
This microphone. This microphone's got a background check. Look at my dog. All right. Anyways,
Um.
uh, when I think about background checks, I think about how someone who is young, particularly not just young, but people that don't have life experience, go and get these background checks. They could be completely nuts. How do we flag these people prior to, the background check happening? If something happens when the kid's under 18, is that going to come up on this background check for firearms? Is that a dumb question?
Yeah.
The guy's 21 years old. Even though he's been out of it, say 4 years, that's not. It doesn't make sense to me that this guy would pass a background check. Somebody didn't say something. Someone didn't report what was going on with him, and that's just going to be my opinion because I'm not closely involved in it. I don't know what their family life situation is.
Yeah.
So you got to worry about that. Maybe their family didn't think anything. Maybe this guy was perfect, and then all of a sudden he went crazy. Because all we're doing is judging what this guy did based on the picture, and he had a smock. We saw that he had a AR-556 Ruger um, with a pistol conversion on it. It was a pretty small gun, but it also, shot a pretty devastating round. Right, Paco?
Yep. Yeah, and like Like Nick was saying, we're judging this guy based off of what he did, which what he did was horrible, but
I mean,
like Nick,
obviously, right on the rip, it's not a good look.
no,
That's right on the rip.
yeah, that's yeah,
You go out and you do something like that, an atrocity like that. I mean, it's not something that anyone can condone. You
yeah,
shouldn't be able to. You shouldn't be able to go out and do this and have nobody, no recourse. Did you
yeah.
hear about the death penalty situation that they have going on out there?
What in Colorado?
Yeah.
Jeez.
So they had the death penalty. It was around. Do you remember the Aurora shooting that happened? I think it was Batman or something came out. The theater shooting where the guy was dressed up.
Oh yeah,
Remember
yeah,
the
yeah,
Aurora
yep,
shooting?
yep,
That was
yep, yep.
obviously that was Colorado. At that time, I think he killed like 23 people or something. I don't know exactly, but at that time, he did not get the death penalty, and the death penalty was in place. Yet other people had gone out, committed whatever murder crime, and they did get the death penalty. So the governor got basically ticked off and said, "Well, you're giving the death penalty to these people, but you're not giving them to the people that commit mass murder." So now they don't have a death penalty on the books. So I don't know if that has to add anything, but people are upset in Colorado about this situation, and it makes sense. You go out there and you kill all these people, you should be the one that gets a death penalty. Not saying that anybody does it doesn't deserve to get it, but if it's on the table and you're going to use it to use it on somebody, use it on a mass murder, I think that's pretty common sense.
Yeah,
What do you think, Paco?
yeah. And I'm looking at the um first degree murder. So before July 1st, 2020, first degree murder was punishable by death in Colorado. So and apparently these capital crimes are what meet Colorado's death penalty standards. So if it was committed by a person under sentence of imprisonment for a class one, two, or three felony, the defendant was previously convicted of a class one or two felony involving violence. Defendant knowingly killed a law enforcement officer, elected officer, judicial officer, firefighter while the person was engaged in the course of the performance of the duties. So this guy technically could face the death penalty because he did kill a cop.
Absolutely. If this guy couldn't, well, he can't anymore because they don't have it in law.
Yeah,
You know, but I mean that's the problem. Is this guy is dead to rights on this death penalty if you're going to give it to someone.
yeah.
I'm not saying that the death penalty is right or wrong, but if you're going to give it to someone, give it to this guy.
Oh, so if this guy committed so all right, so technically no. If he would have committed this crime before last July of 2020, he would have been
Exactly.
facing the death penalty.
Yes.
But considering he did it in 2021, he's no longer going to face a death penalty for killing that cop and the 10 other people, which, if you ask me, is ridiculous.
Best wish. you know, can you pull up the picture of the guy, Patrick?
Yes,
And see if
I'll pull up
Patrick
the
can get
picture
this
of
guy
the
to come
local
up.
guy.
But this guy, we looked at him yesterday. He was probably, um, I think he was 21, and he looked
Yep,
like he was 41, and he had some tired looking. He had a smock on, which I'll explain to you when I see it come up on the screen here. But he had a
trying to find
suicide smock on. His hair was very disheveled. He had a light beard going, little beard. But it's a scary thing, boy, because you don't know who's going to go off and whatever's going to happen. That's a scary thing.
Yep. All right, I'm gonna boot him up on the screen right here now. All right, so that's him.
I
So
mean, this is pretty self-explanatory here, right? This is a ground ball. we take a look at this individual here, and you just kind of look at his hairdo. If you look around his chest, it looks like a quilt. Well, that quilt is a that's called a suicide smock, and essentially, when he gets to prison, if he makes a suicidal statement, or particularly in this case, they probably just put him on a suicide watch because this is clearly a mental health case. So he automatically went on a 24-hour constant eyeball just to make sure that he doesn't hurt himself or anyone else. So he's probably sitting in a cell right now with a correction officer watching him. He's got
Yep.
the smock on around his chest. He's probably only eating finger foods. He's just he doesn't look 21. I don't think. You know,
No. To
and
me,
we
he
don't
looks
really
like
know
he's
his. He
like
could have been.
Nick, like Nick said, he looks like he's 41.
Can you pull up the article? I just wanted to get, or actually pull up a picture of the gun he had. I think it was a Ruger 5.56. Um, that's it. AR pistol, AR-15 pistol.
No, brings me actually to Rugel's website.
So see right down there underneath Bing News, it says AR-15 pistol versus rifle, Colorado suspect.
No, this was
And
made 17 hours ago.
yeah, I mean, as we look at this one, you can already see like it's if that's the AR-15 pistol, which I think it is, it's pretty much an AR-15. And I don't know who decides this, but as I look at this gun, I'm automatically thinking, what is the round that it shoots? So 5.56 or 2.23, it's a civilian variant, is what this shoots. That's a devastating round. It doesn't really matter if it comes out of a M14 sized uh, rifle or a pistol sized rifle. If it's shooting that sized round, it's going to be a problem. So the gun he used is almost irrelevant. I also want to present if he was shooting, let's say, a 9 millimeter pistol or um, even a Ruger 1022 that shoots the little 22s, that still could kill a lot of people. It would definitely injure plenty of people. And this here, they're talking about. Can you scroll up just a second, Pat?
Yep.
It says you can stick the thing under a jacket. So this guy's gun, he could fit under a jacket and go into the store. That's probably what he did. You know, so the shorter barrel and shorter stock make a smaller weapon that would make it more easy to carry around. It would certainly make it more concealable. You can stick the thing under a jacket in a way that would be hard to sort of stick an AR-15 platform under your jacket. So the guy who created this gun obviously was like, hey, you want to walk around with an AR-15? This is the gun. A business is business. Right, Pat?
Yep.
AR-15s are usually semi-automatic. Yep.
Yeah, and it says in 2018, the city of Boulder, Colorado, passed a ban on the sale and possession of assault weapons. So technically, him owning this gun was a felony in the city
I mean,
of
where
Boulder.
does it say? Where does it say it was a felony? I think that was just the city saying we don't want you to have this. I don't think it's a law. A city bans the sale of it. That just means you can't do it.
Oh, but
A
here it
state
says a
district
state
court
district
judge.
court blocked the city from enforcing the ban.
Exactly.
All
So
right, so
that's the city can ban it, but that doesn't really mean it's just like it's nothing really.
and it says AR-15 style rifles have been used in some of the most deadly mass shooting and killings in recent U.S. history, which is true. And here's the thing that Nick was talking about: 2012 shooting inside a movie theater in Colorado. That's what Nick was talking about earlier.
That's a pretty
See, and then
scary
the
thing.
the Parkland massacre too. That's another thing that doesn't get talked about a lot.
Well, all of them don't get talked about a lot. I mean, last week we were just talking about the Asian hate campaign because of the massage parlors that were targeted by some weirdo who decided he had an issue with massage parlors. That's been out of the news. I haven't heard anything about it.
All right, this statement right here: gun enthusiasts are fans of AR-15s. I don't know how I feel about that statement being true. Because
What,
where I
fans
sit
of
on
AK?
where I sit on the whole thing is Do I personally need to go out and buy an AR-15? No, it's not for me. Like, do I need an AR-15 to protect my household? No. Will I go out and buy an AR-15? No. But how I also look at it is, it should be your right. If you want to go out and buy an AR-15 for, the range, home defense, whatever it may be, that should be your right. It's just not a right that I'm going to exercise. I just don't need an AR-15 because I'm currently going for my LTC, but I'm not going to own an AR-15.
I I agree with you on that, pal. I think that AR-15s are not they're probably not needed. Okay, I'll probably go out and say that. AR-15s are probably not needed, but at the same time, the law, the Second Amendment, is not about what you need and what you don't need. It's not about
Yep.
hunting. The law was not written for you to go out and kill tuna fish with a shotgun. It was written to protect us from tyranny from the government. And
Yep.
you have to put in perspective to where the nation was at the time when the Second Amendment was written. It was like lawlessness. So we needed to have that in place so that the king, queen, the presidency wouldn't turn around. The government itself wouldn't turn on its people. So, based on just the law itself, what is the standard weapon of a military soldier? They're carrying a 5.56 M16.
Mm.
Now, at the same time, you don't give your citizens nuclear weapons, right? That would be like the argument. You still need to have some kind of check and balance for that law. Otherwise, our freedom is severely infringed upon, which it already is under attack. So we wouldn't want it getting any worse. That's
Yeah.
basically just my take on that. I don't think it's right that this is happening, but at the same time, I don't think that taking away the guns is going to fix it.
No,
What
never.
do you think, Paco, on that?
No. I mean, like I was saying earlier, I I respect what the government's trying to do to try and curb gun violence, but stricter background checks, banning assault rifles, all that stuff. I see what they're trying to do, but like I said, firearms are still going to be unfortunately readily available. If somebody wants to commit violence bad enough, they're going to have access to a firearm, whether it's going to be purchasing it illegally, most likely, if the assault rifle ban goes. And another thing, though, too, that the media keeps talking about, you know, uh, AR-15 style military rifles. AR-15s aren't even carried by U.S. troops. They don't carry AR-15s. I think they carry the M16s, which probably is still chambered in 5.56. 5.56 is obviously a devastating round. That's why mass shooters use ARs.
Well, I mean, if the mass shooter had any balls, he wouldn't use an AR. He'd go out and get a Springfield, M1A or something that shoots like a 7.62 NATO round. You want
Yeah,
to talk
and
about a
unfortunately,
devastating,
in
you
these
know,
mass shooters, they when they buy a gun or you know acquire a gun, they're looking not for the sole purpose of how many rounds does this thing hold. They're more looking at what gun can I get that's going to cause the most damage in the most short amount of time.
you know what the problem with that, Patrick, is that these guys are all carrying the same exact gun. They're all carrying the AR-15.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and say anything crazy, but they all carrying AR-15s. They're not going in with mini 14s, which are just as bad.
Yeah.
They're not going in with something worse like an M1A Springfield that could shoot a door handle off a door. They're going in there with a 5.56. They're
Yeah.
going with an AR-15.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to look at the mental health, how somebody gets to this point, as well as the defense physically that we can protect ourselves now. If someone in that store, other than the arriving officer, had a firearm, the situation would have looked a lot different. There's no question about it. If those 10 people, for instance, had firearms, would every single one of them be dead? I would venture to say probably not, but I can't
Yeah.
say that for sure. But when we look at evidence of active shooters, it's not a mass shooting if it ends on the first time he pulls out his gun. If somebody takes him out, it's not going to make the news. That's not a mass shooting.
No.
So you're only getting what you're getting, but you're not hearing about mass shootings in these other places. The reason they're not happening is because somebody pulls out a gun, in a certain area where everyone has a gun, that threat's going to be eliminated.
Mhm.
Could be eliminated by anyone in that area. Not You don't have to wait for the police to show up to take somebody out who's a threat to your life and the lives of others.
Yeah.
So I think that, yeah, you don't want to carry a gun, then don't. But that's your right. And if you feel that the threat of being a victim to a mass shooting is so real that you can't escape it, you should probably get a gun.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're
And
really that scared of mass shootings, get a gun to protect yourself, because right now there's no law. And a law is not going to protect you either from someone who's having a breakdown and wants to hurt people.
yeah, and also the thing being too is don't go out and buy a gun just because you think you need one. If you don't go out and get a gun just because, oh yeah, no, I'm just going to go get a gun and whatever. No. Go out if you make sure it's something you want to have on your person, because it's a big responsibility having a gun. Because if you're going to go through all the work to lawfully carry, you have to have it on you at all times. There's days where yeah, you can. There's days where yes, you can leave it home, but if you're gonna be a LTC member, you you know having that firearm on you, if you can, is gonna be it's gonna become second nature. It's gonna be you know it's gonna become like a force of habit. It's gonna be just as common as grabbing a mask before you walk out the door. It's now I'm not saying you can bring a firearm everywhere. You still can't bring it into federal buildings and schools, stuff like that, which is obviously for good reason, because you bring a gun into a school. Because actually, now that I'm on that, is that that shooting that happened outside that middle school. It turned into a family dispute. Um, that guy had a gun on him. He wasn't he wasn't his child's legal guardian. He was trying to make the say for what school his daughter could go to. He couldn't. He legally didn't have any say. Mother got involved. The school liaison officer got involved. The guy got belligerent. They pushed him out the door, went to arrest him for criminal trespassing because he actually had a restraining order and he violated that by going to the school. He wasn't even supposed to come within 100 feet of his daughter because it was, like I said, a bad custody battle. And anyways, cops went to arrest him. He pulled a gun out and ended up getting shot right on the front steps of the school by the cops. So, and he also had ammunition in his car, but he had a pistol on him.
Well,
So
to discuss firearm ownership, we'd have to have a whole video or two just on that. So
yeah,
I'm not going to get into the logistics of owning a firearm.
Yeah.
Licensed legally, I'm not going to get into it.
Mhm.
Every state has its own policies and they look very different.
Mhm.
The laws everywhere are pretty broken up. But fundamentally, it's your right to carry a firearm if you feel that you need one. So long as you take that responsibility seriously, whatever you feel is responsible, you know, try to use your best judgment. And a lot of this stuff can be prevented in the future. Just you're trying to protect your own family and taking that responsibility of owning a firearm to protect them is quite the burden. But I just wanted to say at the end here that our thoughts and prayers at Paco's Insight go out to the families of the victims of all mass shootings.
Yep.
If you're involved in a situation like this on either side. So, what I'm saying is obviously it's easy to pray and give forgiveness for those who died as victims of these mass shootings, but at Paco's Insight, we'd like to offer our olive branch of forgiveness for everybody that was involved in this, even the active shooter. Like that guy was in a pretty desperate space when he did what he did. It's obviously all his responsibility, but you have to kind of pray for the guy too and have him get on his best foot, because there's other people out there that are just as desperate as him. And we need to get it in front of those people and protect those people so they don't go out and kill a bunch of others who are innocent.
Yeah. Yeah, and our thoughts and prayers go out to Officer Talley's family as well. You know, um, he was a father of 7, so I can only imagine, how just, we can only imagine, how much burden all family members in this situation are going through, but, Officer Talley, he died a hero trying to protect people he didn't even know. It's a shame, but, like I said, our thoughts and prayers go out to him, everybody involved. Um, and to elaborate, like I said, on what Nick's saying too, is if you need anybody to talk to, leave a comment. I get notifications for all comments. I read your guys' comments. So, like Nick said, if you got the topic you want us to discuss, let us know. Or if you want to just chat. Um, I believe I got the email that's associated with this second channel that I got linked. So even if you guys want to shoot an email to, I think it's Paco's Playground, all one word, at gmail.com. So you can email me there too, with, again, ideas, thoughts, or just, you know, talk. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, what me and Nick made this channel for is to talk and connect with you guys on a real level. Everything we've talked about or talk about is either stuff we've experienced, whether it be mental health, you know, anything like that. We're not talking of just somebody who's never experienced. Me and Nick have both had our own, everybody's had their own battles with mental health. I have, and that can be even another video we can get into too. Separate video on that as well. Um, but even Richard sends his condolences out, thoughts and prayers to the family of the officer. So, like I said, thoughts and prayers go out to everybody involved. Um, it's a
Yeah. I mean, it's a
sad
sad
situation.
episode, but keep in mind there's ways to prevent this physically, and with more engagement, there's with more engagement, there's a way to prevent this legally and in that way. But it's been a good episode here on Paco's Insight, first edition,
Hmm.
and we'll have another Paco's Insight to follow. And again, like Patrick said, you have anything you want us to talk about, leave it in the comment or reach out to us on Paco's Playground at gmail.com. And
Yeah,
we'll be sure to rip on that one. But have a good and safe rest of your day or evening or weekend. And we look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you.
yeah, yeah. Thank you guys.